Good afternoon, students. In this session, I am going to discuss about measurement of precipitation. Precipitation data is of utmost importance to hydrologists as it forms the basis of many hydrological studies. All forms of precipitation are essentially measured on the basis of the vertical depth of water that would accumulate on a level surface. If the precipitation of water where it fell, precipitation is usually measured in mm and tenths of mm. If it is less than 1 mm, it is recorded as trace. Rainfall with an intensity of 2.5 mm per hour, it is called light rain. Between 2.5 mm per hour and 7.5 mm per hour, it is termed as moderate rain. And when it exceeds 7.5 mm per hour, it is termed as heavy rainfall. Since the amount of rainfall varies from place to place, it would be necessary to install the rain gauges at various key points in the area. The principle of rain gauge is that the amount of rainfall in a small area will represent the amount of rainfall in a large area, provided the meteorological characteristics of both small and large area are similar. IS 4987 1968 provides detailed specifications for establishing a network of rain gauge stations. The following are the main types of rain gauges used for measurement of rainfall. The first one is non-recording type rain gauges. In this, Simmons rain gauge, and the second is recording type rain gauges. There are three types in this. One is tipping bucket rain gauge, second is weighing bucket rain gauge, and the third one is float type rain gauge. You can see on the screen the type of rain gauge is Simmons. The name of the rain gauge is Simmons type rain gauge. The Indian Meteorological Department has adopted the standard Simmons rain gauge for measuring the rainfall. It is non-recording type rain gauge which consists of cylindrical metal case of internal diameter 127 mm with its base enlarged to 203.2 mm diameter. At the top of the case, a funnel is fixed which is provided with a brass rim measuring exactly 127 mm inside diameter. The funnel shank is inserted in a glass bottle placed inside the case. The case of the rain gauge is fixed in masonry or concrete foundation such that the funnel rim is exactly 305 mm above the ground level. The rainwater enters the bottle through the funnel and gets collected in the bottle. The rainwater collected in the bottle is measured with the help of a standard measuring glass supplied with each rain gauge. which indicates the millimeters of rain that has fallen at the rain gauge station. At each gauge station, the observations for the rainfall are taken daily two times at 8:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. as per IST. However, if the rainfall is likely to exceed the capacity of the bottle, then a few intermediate observations are also taken. The sum of the observations taken will represent the total rainfall of the post 24 hours of the day on which the observation at 8:30 am is taken. And the second one is float type rain gauge station or siphon gauge, siphon type of rain gauge, float type or siphon type rain gauge. In this rain gauge, a funnel is provided at one of a rectangular container and a rotating recording drum. Recording drum is provided at the other end. The rainwater enters the container through the funnel. A float is provided within the container which rises up as the rainwater gets collected there. The float consists of a rod which contains a pen arm for recording the amount of rainfall on the graph paper wrapped on the recording drum. It consists of a siphon which starts functioning when the float rises to some definite height and the container goes on emptying gradually. Selection of rain gauge stations. The selection of rain gauge station is very important. The following important points should be kept in mind while selecting the site for rain gauge stations. The first one is site where a rain gauge is set up should be on level ground and on open place. It should never be on sloping ground. Second point, the distance between the rain gauge and the nearest object should be at least twice the height of the object. In no case should it be nearer to the obstruction than 30 meter. Third point, in hilly area where absolutely level ground is not available, the site should be so selected that station may be well shielded from high wind. The site should be easily accessible to the observer. Fifth point, the site should be well protected from cattle by wire fencing. Next is advantages and disadvantages of recording rain gauges. First one is advantages of recording rain gauges. The rainfall is recorded automatically and therefore there is no necessity of any attendant. The recording rain gauge also gives the intensity of rainfall at any time, while the non-recording gauge gives the total rainfall in any particular interval of time. As no attendant is required, such rain gauge can be installed in far off places also. Fourth point, possibility of human error is obviated. Disadvantages of recording rain gauges. Mainly, there are two types of disadvantages. It is costly. It is costly in comparison with non-recording gauges. Fault may develop in electrical or mechanical mechanism of recording the rainfall. Sorry. Errors in rain gauge measurement and estimating true rain catch. The first error is mistakes in reading the scale of the gauge. Second is some amount of water will be displaced by the measuring stick of water which may creep up the stick. This may increase the error by 1%. Third point, dents in the collector rim may change its receiving area. Fourth point, funnel and inside surface require about 2.5 mm of rain to get moisture when the gauge is initially dry. This may amount to the extent of 25 mm per year in some area. Fifth point, there is some loss resulting from rainfall splash from the collector. Sixth point, the most serious error is the deficiency of measurements due to wind. Vertical acceleration of air forced upwards over a gauge gives an upward acceleration to precipitation about to enter the gauge and results in deficient catch. And the seventh point, inclination of gauge may cause lesser collection. A 10% inclination gives about 1.5% low catch. So these are the errors. Some errors comes usually in the field in rain gauge measurement. So next we can uh, discuss about the network of rain gauges. There are different types of network of rain gauge stations that we can see in the next session. Thank you.